This next story makes me think that the Trudeau government takes wasting tax dollars as seriously as they do trans and kids. Now, if you needed any further proof that the pandemic wasn't about public health, but the transfer of public wealth, look no further than the Pandemic Loan Relief Program for small business owners. We now learn, surprise, surprise, thanks to federal records, that it paid more than $2 billion to borrowers who never qualified for it in the first place. Not to worry. I'm sure they identified as qualifying. Of course, this wasn't volunteered by the Liberals, but was finally disclosed as a result of a request by Conservative MP Brad Viss, who represents the riding of Mission-Matsqui in BC, as reported by Blacklock's reporter. Brad, wanting to do something novel and earn his paycheck, asked for the dollar amount of Canada's Emergency Business Account (CEBA) funds that were initially provided to businesses that were later deemed ineligible. Cabinet, in an inquiry of ministry tabled in the House of Commons, put the figure at $2,047,682,710. That's your dollars, folks. The CEBA program was open for applications from April 9, 2020 till end of June in 2021. By late last January, it had provided over $49 billion to nearly 900,000 Canadian businesses, according to Department of Finance Canada. For those of you not familiar with the mechanics of it, the program initially offered $40,000 in an interest-free loan. About 6 months later, after its rollout, it was expanded to $60,000, with a third of it forgiven, a maximum of $20,000 on final repayment. Now, in principle, I'll be honest, I have no issue with the CEBA program, because after all, it wasn't businesses that chose to shut down, and it wasn't COVID that shut things down, but the idiotic, moronic response to COVID by the dipwads in charge across this land. So I can't blame businesses who were genuinely hurting from the draconian lockdowns to look for help. However, true to form, whether intentionally or unintentionally, Ottawa, the creators of the problem, did little in terms of vetting the applications, further aggravating the problem, resulting now in about 50,500 borrowers found to be ineligible, wrote staff, and the reasons given included data quality issues, suspicious business registration numbers, fraud, multiple loan applications by the same firms, fraud, and failure to respond to an audit request, All that to say, Ottawa genuinely effed it up like they do every single other thing. Total losses under the CEBA program will not be known until 2024, as the federal government extended the repayment deadline until the end of December this year. Yes, I'm sure those that didn't deserve the money in the first place and fraudulently took advantage of it just need a little more time to make amends. Sort of like those good folks crossing the border illegally into the US who get caught and then being released so long as they promise to return for their court appearance. We promise. According to Blacklock's reporter, the Canada Revenue Agency, in a separate inquiry of ministry, said 2,640 companies that received interest-free loans were found to be insolvent. Loans to failed firms totaled $1.05 billion. Now, leftist liberal diptards, I know insolvent is a really big word considering you guys even struggle with math. So it basically means bankrupt. So chances of recovering the money is like finding one of you liberal voters with common sense. I think you get the idea. The insolvency figures were tabled at the request of Conservative MP Kelly McCauley, who asked how many organizations that receive funding under the CEBA and Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy programs are in receivership or insolvent, and how much funding the organizations received. Well, there's another Conservative MP who seems committed to earning his keep. At least that's 2 now. A report by the Department of Industry in December 2022 noted that businesses that borrowed from a federal relief program during the pandemic tended to be small and heavily indebted. Surprise, eh? According to a report titled SME Profile, recipients of the Canada Emergency Business Account, around 40.8% of them had been in operation for no more than 10 years. And thanks to liberal government policies, they would never see 11. Well, that's one way of reducing Canada's carbon footprint, huh? Most of these 53.2% of them were micro-sized, having no more than 4 employees, and 38% had between 5 and 19 employees. Nearly 18% of businesses that received the CEBA loans in 2020 also requested other types of debt financing, such as second mortgages, lines of credit, term loans, and credit cards, the report said. Funny how we know so much more about them now than when it really mattered. Sort of like COVID, huh? Anyway, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Please post any comments you have in the comment section. You can also follow me in my Rumble and my Locals account. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. It's going to cost you absolutely nothing. No grants, no subsidies, nothing. And of course, comment on some of the other videos you've seen, and I will see you next time.